Hi, everyone. I cannot hear if you are speaking.
Now?
Yeah. Hi. I was hopped on, but it wasn't going in. I wasn't sure what was going on. All right. So I guess we can get the meeting started 7:01. We will now do a call to order.
President Valerie Reinhold,
Here.
Council Vice President Diane Law. Here. Councilmember Shirley Blair Fuller. Here. Councilmember Brooke Bruchette Williams.
Here.
Councilmember Deb Cassini Klein. Here. Councilmember Andrea DeTillo. Here. Councilmember Jay Jordan.
Here. Here.
Awesome. Thank you.
Here, Paul Gamrat. All right.
All right. And now we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you so much. And if you all cannot hear me, please just start waving your hands in the air or something. So we'll do right now public comment for Churchill Borough taxpayers and residents. You have up to 3 minutes. Please state your full name and street address.
Hello? Okay, there we go. Can you hear me?
Say yes.
Okay, I'm not gonna try to turn my camera on. It just gets too confusing. This is Kathy Bordner and I live at 1926 Hampstead Drive. Last week, I had a problem getting signed on, and I think there were some other people who also had a problem. I saw the post on Facebook that we cannot watch on Facebook Live anymore. But I believe I was trying to sign on through the borough website. But since several of us were trying to get on and couldn't get on until later in the meeting, and I think that some people just gave up. I would like to request that Diane Law repeat the report on the Deer Committee that she gave last week, because so many people have been following this issue, and I think that they should hear from her the report rather than, I did get to see it. And I don't think you should ask people to go back and watch the meeting on Facebook, because I think the problem was on your end. So out of respect for your residents who are following this issue, and it is on your agenda, I think that Diane should repeat the report that she gave last week. And I also would like to say that I've been following this issue, and I just don't recall any other reports on it. I know you had the town hall meeting. My husband and I attended that, and I know it was on the agenda many times, but I don't recall any other reports on what the ad hoc deer committee was doing. So I was very surprised last meeting to hear that the committee had come to the conclusion that all that's to be done is to teach people how to keep them out of their yards. I really think that this needs to be re-examined. I attended the meeting, the town hall meeting, and everyone there, except from two ladies from Penn Hills, who just wanted the deer and didn't want anything done to them, and one even said she'd rather shoot a person than shoot a deer. Everyone else at that meeting spoke about problems with the deer. One lady had moved to Churchill and had contracted Lyme disease. someone with children talked about seeing deer in the backyard surrounding their small pet. People talked about being afraid to walk out of their houses because of the number of deer they see on their street. And so I think this issue needs to be revisited. And I would again ask that Diane repeat the report that she gave last week. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy. I wasn't sure if there was anybody in the room that wanted to make a comment. I didn't hear.
There's not, we gave an opportunity,
And it looks like there's no one else online that would like to speak at this time either.
I'll give it a minute. Oh, somebody just raised their hand. It says Kathleen's iPhone.
Kathleen, to talk? Go ahead, Kathleen.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Kate Kerrigan Hill. I live at 1441 Beulah Road. And I agree with Kathy. I was also at the meeting that took place where the two residents from Penn Hills wanted to keep the deer population as is. The rest of the room did not want to leave it as is. And speaking as a person who hit a deer in a car once, I was lucky I walked away. I think this absolutely needs to be revisited. And I also would like to hear the report because I think we've been dealing with this or not dealing with this for long enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. I do not see any other hands. And you said nobody in person wanted to comment, correct? Okay, so we will go ahead and close public comment. Michelle, you want to talk about 3?
So part of this is just the requirement for the state that we're required to have this on the agenda. If individuals would like to have a comment for a project that we're doing for a pollutant reduction plan at Full Extend Park. So this is just a requirement for the state to have this on the agenda.
So at this time, if there's anyone who'd like to comment on the pollutant reduction plans, please step forward, either in the room or online. Anyone in the room want to talk about the PRPs? Not the PRPs. Anyone online have comments about the PRPs? Our work here is done. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
All right. Looks like there are no comments, so we can close that public comment as well. And then we'll move on to the regular items for our meeting.
Okay, Madam President, I move to accept the meeting minutes from the January 2nd, 2024 Borough Council Reorganization meeting and workshop meeting, and with the regular council meeting held on January 8th, 2024.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And the next item, mayor's report.
Madam President, if I may, if we could rearrange our schedules a little bit, because we have a special guest tonight, one of our officers. I'd like to read some things And because Nico is here and he's getting a little anxious, I'll do that reading first to recognize Officer Lewandowski and then move into the mayor's report if I can.
Sounds good.
Thank you. I received a couple messages, a few minutes, more than a few, from our chief, Ron Ackley, just recently, past couple weeks, about actions of our officers in the borough and things that they've accomplished. And really quite tremendous for a small borough. Being that we're located right next to the parkway, we do get a lot of that action. And through the observations of Officer Lewandowski and being aware of Bolo, which I kind of learned later on, that's be on the lookout. So he had recognized that certain vehicles, certain license plate numbers might be traveling through there. And indeed, he finds one, he catches it, and so some arrests were made and some bad money was taken off the street, which I just thought, which showed me $100 bills. I would have a hard time distinguishing between that and the real deal. But anyway, we want to thank Officer Lewandowski for his time for that. I want to read this if I may. This is from Chief Ackerley. The purpose of authorizing this letter is to recognize your exemplary police work during the recent incident involving a traffic stop and the subsequent apprehension of multiple individuals. On Thursday, 25th of January, 2024, while on routine patrol, you observed a vehicle bearing the New York registration plate and occupied by 3 male individuals, which drew your attention after receiving investigative information earlier in the day. More specifically, the information advised of a team of individuals driving from the New York area who had been traveling through the Commonwealth, utilizing fraudulent credit cards and counterfeit currency to make high-end purchases at multiple different retail locations. After effecting a traffic stop on the suspect vehicle and making contact with the occupants, your keen observations led you to initiate a roadside investigation. During the course of which more than $8,000 counterfeit $100 bills in U.S. currency, as well as nearly $2,400 in merchandise that was determined to have been purchased with said fraudulent funds was seized. Further investigation later revealed that the occupants of the vehicle, all of which were determined to be in the United States illegally, driving from either Colombia or Mexico, were involved in the same criminal conduct across multiple locations throughout Pennsylvania, as well as multiple states. One of the individuals was also identified as being on a watch list with the U.S. Customs and Immigration due to having been previously apprehended by the New York Police Department for the same offenses. This incident exemplifies not only your level of training and preparation, but also your pride and commitment to an unwavering pursuit to be the most effective and professional police officers. Job very well done. Ronald M. Ackerley. Another letter is from me on behalf of the Borough Council and myself, we wish to extend our gratitude and congratulations. This is in recognition of the exemplary police work you performed recently involving a traffic stop and the subsequent apprehension of multiple individuals. This is not the first time you've been recognized for your work in dealing with the public and the residents. Because of you and others in our department, we are recognized for our efforts to protect and serve. Thank you for your commitment and professionalism in performing your duties. Your performance in the borough of Churchill has been outstanding. That's not the end. These were letters received recently from residents in the borough. One was from a gentleman that was, when I talked to Officer Lewandowski, was a driver.
Yes, he was an access driver, but he's a retired firefighter.
And he had an incident over on in the Hampstead area. So, and then his letter reads, I'm a retired firefighter. I'm used to saving lives, not being the one sick. Thank you guys for being there that afternoon on 1/17/24 in my time of need. I'd like to show my appreciation by contributing a donation to the association for saving my life. Again, thank you guys so much. And signed sincerely, James Howard. And when I talked to Chris about it, apparently he had a heart attack or something in the car drifts down the hill, hits a pole, he's stuck there. Chris can't get into the car, breaks the window, starts to render assistance right away, waits for the EMS to come and gets the guy to the hospital, saves his life. And Officer Hensler's not here tonight, but I also received a letter by Officer Hensler. And, this is gonna read, thank you. Thanks to you, you have executed an agreement, whereas McCormick, DeBra, Foresight Renovations Inc. has agreed to return my deposit for renovations in my home. This outcome would have been unaffected without your assistance. To protect and serve, you did. Indeed, I am most grateful, thank you. And the details of this was the contractor was doing some work, had, taken the deposit money from the person, didn't complete the work and was gonna keep the money. And Jeff stepped in and says, no, you're not. That was taken care of. So congratulations to both Officer Lewandowski and Jeff. No, we have, everyone does, our department, all of our, you know, including Chris, Jeff, Bill, everybody. We have a good team, good staff, and luckily we have the chief to lead us through this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Already cut it forward.
So we understand.
Was that, was that part of the mayor's report, or is that something that we still have to do?
I'll read the mayor's report.
Okay.
Chief Ronald Ackley has reported to me that there was one significant incident during the month of January 2024. The details will follow. Our officers handled a total of 946 events, 946 for the year, consisting of both calls for service and proactive patrol engagements in detail, resulting in 10 arrests. The number of arrests for the year is 10. The department's 5 police vehicles logged a total 4,628 miles. Combined year to date was 4,268. Chief Ronald Ackley reported that the total amount of magisterial fines collected for the month of January 24 was $808.87. If you can guess what the total is for the year. Okay. The ticket summary for the month of January was 15, 0 non-traffic, 1 parking, and 14 parking tickets. On Thursday, January 25th, 24, Officer Chris Lewandowski received investigative information shared by another agency of individuals driving from the state of New York who were traveling across the region utilizing fraudulent credit cards to make multiple high-end retail purchases. At approximately 12:51 p.m., Officer Lewandowski observed an enterprise rental vehicle bearing New York registration traveling on William Penn Highway toward Interstate 376 with 3 male individuals occupying the vehicle. Following observation of a traffic offense, Officer Lewandowski effected a traffic stop. Through the course of investigation on scene, the 3 occupants were taken into custody after being found in possession of more than $8,000 in counterfeit $100 bills of U.S. currency, as well as $2,300 of retail merchandise that had been purchased with fraudulent funds. All 3 individuals were determined to be in the country illegally, driving from either Mexico or Colombia, one of which was on the U.S. Immigration and Customs watch list. Having been previously apprehended by the NYPD for a similar offense, Officer Lewandowski received a letter of commendation for exemplary police work during this incident. Details and other related statistics concerning the police department during the month of January 24 are reported on the attached police department reports. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mayor's report. What's that? I did move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, I feel comfortable in this discussion. I'm good.
Any discussion? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Mayor's report is accepted. Moving on to the treasurer's report.
Madam President, motion to accept the treasury report for January 31st, 2024. And I will go through our bank, the big balance, you will. So,
Wait,
currently-
Andrea, you don't have to go through
No,
the,
I'm just going to the bottom one, that's all I'm doing.
okay, cool. Just making sure.
Yeah, no, thank you. So currently at 131.24, we are at $10,727,455.52, with a difference from the last year of $341,027.19. Everyone okay with that?
Yes.
So standing motion or this?
You made a motion.
Just a report.
Yeah, Andrew, you can loop in 6 and 7 together, like motion to
Sure,
accept
sure
the
thing.
treasurer's
So
report and
to
then.
read our larger goals on number 7 will be motion directing the finance officer to pay the bills for the borough of Churchill accrued since January 15th, 2024. The Gladies for $35,202.01. Gateway for $29,017.35. Axon for $18,571.79. Patrick for $18,549.18. Cargo Incorporated for $16,416.11. Solely Construction, $11,889.37. Strasburger, McKenna, and Gutnick, and Gefsky, sorry, to me, of $11,565.30. And American Rock Salt for $9,300.09. Let's hope the groundhog was correct.
Any discussion on that?
I think we need a second.
You need a second.
Oh, a second, I
I'll
thought
second.
somebody.
So
seconded.
moved.
Any discussion? Good job, Andrea, reading those numbers. There's a lot of them.
So bring the groundhog.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion carries. Moving on to our action items.
I would like to make a motion to adopt resolution 4957 of the Borough of Church Hill, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, approving a cooperative financial operations agreement between the Borough of Church Hill and the municipality of Mount Lebanon.
Is there a second?
Second.
Lots of seconds. Any discussion? All right, no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion carries. Moving on to number 9. Diane.
I move to approve the Act 22 memorandum of understanding between the Borough of Churchill and the Allegheny County District Attorney.
There a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I hear silence, so all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to number 10.
Madam President, motion to approve Churchill Borough Police Department's writing on policy, subject to approval of the borough manager and solicitor as to the form of the associated regulations and waiver readings.
Second.
Any discussion? Gavin, I wasn't sure if there were any comments on your end.
I do have a comment, and I think it's the comment that was shared with council. We had a discussion both in executive session on some kind of legal liability issues. The workshop meeting, the directive at the workshop meeting was to ask the borough manager to check in with the borough's liability insurance carrier to see if they had concerns related to coverage or liability. The carrier did get back, honestly, with in my experience, a surprising level of concern with that program. That said, it's still up to council as to what decision you'd like to make on this. However, it seemed like the winds were blowing towards probably not moving forward if liability insurance carrier had those issues that they identified. So I'll leave it to council if you want to have any further discussion, but it was a pretty, I won't say alarming, but you know, they definitely raised some concerns about that program, seemed to discourage it generally.
Thanks, Gavin.
Sure.
Michelle, did you have any comments
Yeah.
on what added to that?
To kind of reiterate what Gavin said, for council's request, I did reach out to Hub International, which is our insurance coverage. And they did come back with very strong recommendation that they did oppose the ride-along policy. So. At the end of the day, it is council's decision, but insurance did state that they might not necessarily cover if we did pursue the ride-along policy.
That was my next question, that and cost.
Point of clarification, might not, won't, rider, cost. I need specificity on that versus ambiguity, because the carrier, of course, knowing that they're the payout, the person responsible paying, I would be shocked if they said, hey, I love this idea.
They will not cover the ride-along person.
Right.
They will not.
Period.
Yeah.
Right.
Did they not state that the ride-along person would have to sign a waiver?
Right.
So they're not saying that they would not cover the venture itself if there were a ride-along person, but just the ride-along person would have to sign a waiver that they would hold harmless the insurance company.
Well, the borough.
The borough, yes, exactly.
Right, so I think what the carrier is saying is the borough, if there is an injury, I mean, we talked about this a little bit last week, and what waiver isn't necessarily a get out of jail free to do whatever. And so what they're saying is if there is an incident, if the ride along person is injured, whereas normally if there's a claim against the borough, the insurance company will step in. They're telling you this is outside the scope of their coverage. And that if there is an incident, if the borough is found to be liable due to negligence by an officer or some intentional act, then that's going to be on the borough's dime to pay that claim. They're not going to cover it.
Or any city of follow.
Would it be worthwhile to table this motion for next month's agenda for council members to have an opportunity to really reflect on the feedback that was given from the insurance provider, have a conversation with the individuals who were proposing the ride-along policy to see what their position is as far as understanding the information that we received from the insurance provider, having a conversation with the chief again, and then presenting next month.
I mean,
If you
there's, anyone's welcome to make a motion to table.
Brooke,
I would like to make a motion to table the Churchill Borough Police Department's ride-along policy, subject to the approval of the borough manager and solicitor as to the form of the associated regulations and waiver/release.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, opposed? All right, it is tabled for our next meeting. Moving on to number 11.
Madam President, motion to direct the manager to advertise the active transportation plan public hearing to be held on Wednesday, February 21st at 6 p.m.
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion carries. And moving on to number 12.
Madam President, I apologize. Before we get to number 12, I had a conversation with the borough engineer about this item. I think Dennis wants to give a little bit of background and also recommend modification to the wording of this motion. So With that said, I think Dennis prepared an updated report on this item too, so Denny, I'll kick it over to you if you're willing.
Thank you, and thank you, Madam President. The language, we would like to request a motion to concur with the M47 sanitary sewer overflow elimination plan alternative analysis methodology. That would be the requested motion. And that would be in regards to the discussion that we had at last week's meeting, as well as the information provided in the packet last month regarding the sanitary sewer consent order that the municipality is in. Requirement by the municipality is to complete a sanitary sewer overflow elimination plan for any sanitary sewer overflows that are tributary to. Churchill is tributary to one overflow, and that is downstream in neighboring municipalities in the M47 point of connection. And then therefore, the multi-municipal effort, Three Rivers Wet Weather, led the charge on that alternative analysis. In this case, Churchill has less than 40 homes which are now tributary to that overflow. And the methodology which was utilized was evaluating various forms of reduction based on tanks and reductions to the INI within the system. At the end of the day, the engineers involved did have a selected alternative, which is based on meeting the minimum requirements that the borough is required to meet for the order, which is that they would perform a 10% reduction project, which Borough of Churchill has already performed their project by removing the pump station and performing that reroute. Because the overflow elimination plan would be completed at a later date following this order, the overflow elimination would be expected to be borne by Alcosan, who would take over that overflow as part of the regionalization effort to be completed within the next 30 days. Again, I'm happy to give any additional kind of information regarding that, regarding the overflow elimination plan and the process that is taken to this point. But this is just to prove the alternative analysis methodology has been completed till now, and ultimately the overall sanitary sewer overflow elimination plan report will be provided back to the municipality as a draft prior to being submitted to the Allegheny County Health Department for your order as well.
Can I point of clarification on that presentation? Can I do that yet? Yeah, okay. Are you saying, Denny, that the language should be concur with the alternative M47 sanitary sewer overflow elimination plan? Is that sufficient?
In lieu of saying concur with alternative, just concur with M47 sanitary sewer overflow elimination plan, alternative analysis methodology.
Privilege, if I may, did the wonderful solicitor have that written out so that someone may have the proper language?
Yes.
Mr. Flynn is the only one with the actual.
Okay.
But I will say, I think to boil this down, we're not quite at the point where we're approving the plan. So what we're trying to say is we're approving the route to get to the plan. And so that's why we want to modify. We didn't want to kind of make it look like kind of perfect.
Should we table this until we get the language?
No, we are ready to go as long as Ms. CD Klein, if she doesn't mind saying as recommended by the borough engineer, I make that motion and then we should be good to go. We'll make sure Dennis gets it to Michelle. Would you want to take that? Yeah. Agrees it. So it sounds like we have that motion now, Madam President. We just need a second.
Yeah. Sorry, I could barely hear it. Somebody gonna motion it.
Yes, yeah, I second it.
Wait, you guys were cutting out. I'm sorry. Somebody, you're motioning to. Who's doing the motion?
Yeah, did the motion, I second.
Oh, you already seconded? Okay, and we already,
Yeah.
does that count towards discussion since we talked?
I don't think there's any further discussion. I think
Not
we're ready.
needed, but.
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the discussion items, our staff and support team reports. Mr. Engineer, anything you would like to say?
I do not have anything further than what was in my report. Thank you very much, Madam President.
Thank you. Michelle?
Madam President, I have nothing else additional outside of my report.
Great. Ashley?
I have nothing else to say as part of my report, and I did, president's report.
Great. I wasn't sure if Ralph was in the room. I can't see all the little tiny faces.
I'm here.
Oh, great. Ralph, did you have anything to add?
The only thing I have to add is the new property safety specialist is doing a wonderful job. We were out during the week last week and we spoke to 5 different people. Went to the door, spoke to the people, and they rectified the problems without sending any letters out or any problems. So that's going really well. He's picking up on things really well. As far as public works, let's hope we get no snow tomorrow. I urge people not to park on the streets, and please, if we get snow, don't use your snow blower and blow it out into the street because that's illegal. And it makes it harder for us to clean it up. And on the fire department side, we had 30 calls last month, and we're at 15 so far this month. That'll be all, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ralph. I appreciate it. Chief?
No, ma'am, I have nothing. Thank you.
Thank you. I know that there are other reports in the binder. Sorry, I have an also sick child in the background.
Yes.
coughing.
Hello, this is James Williams.
Oh, hi,
How's
James.
everyone today?
Good. How are you doing, James?
Good, doing well, thank you. I sit on the Wilkinsburg Penn Joint Water Authority, and I haven't had a chance to connect with the new borough manager, Michelle McAndrew. So I can deliver a water authority report at this time. Would that be okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. First, I'd like to start out with, I had a question last month that I went to the board about, and it was in regards to the Churchill surcharge. A number of people, I guess, approached one individual who approached me and said that they didn't see the Churchill surcharge on the bills moving forward. And that was due to the billing system where a number of boroughs were being billed where they would show the individual borough surcharge, and then some boroughs weren't being showed that. So in the line of consistency, they basically said that they rolled up the total, the borough's charges with the sewage fee. So those charges are all rolled up in the sewage fee. So it's still on the bill, but it just doesn't show the breakout for Churchill separately.
Did they say if they're going to roll it down and have it separately, or they're just going to keep it as is moving
They're
forward?
going at this time. They're going to keep it like that because they're billing all the other boroughs and municipalities in the same manner.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that.
So that was one thing. The other item I would like to bring to the floor is we may have seen in the news the billing software. People have seen some inconsistencies in their billing. That was due to the new software that was implemented. There were some hiccups in there. In talking to leadership at the Water Authority, the consumption of the bills and the billing amounts were correct. There were some issues in the start date and the bill date. There were some issues with the service address versus the mailing address. So there were some inconsistencies on the bill, which may have alerted the resident. But at the same time, from my understanding, the consumption and the dollar amounts of the bill were correct. But they're working to try to get all that in line. And I'll give another update, once we know where everything is as far as the status of everything being corrected.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate the update.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Great. Anybody want to say anything about the committee reports besides what was submitted? I know that meetings have been starting for folks and people are starting to meet for their committees. So thank you for being prompt with that. I appreciate it.
One thing, just a reminder that this is under communication, that our newsletter will be, our deadline is March 1st for all of us, so our residents should be getting the next newsletter probably the first couple of days of April. So look out for that, and also a couple save the dates, March 30th, which is the day before Easter. Our Easter Bunny Parade will be coming around the neighborhood, so you will want to mark your calendar for that. And this is very new. We found a date for our annual Churchill dinner. We don't have we're almost there with where the venue is, but I can't mention that right now until we finalize a few things, but it is Sunday, May 16th. It's a Sunday, yeah. 19, I'm sorry, 19, pardon. May 19th. So mark your calendar.
Thanks, Jeb. I know that's a very well attended and fun event that
Yes.
the residents and non-residents can attend.
And we'll be promoting that on all our social media. And most importantly, when the newsletter comes out, there will be a full page explaining and what the dinner is and how you can join up in the whole bit. So look for that.
Awesome. Thank you. Anybody else?
Is it our 9th anniversary though?
Yes. This is also
Part of-
Churchill's 90th anniversary, so all the events we do, we will be encompassing that and, hope to celebrate that in small ways as well. We're hoping to have for example, at the community dinner, the table with pictures and a look back at Churchill's 90 years, very nostalgic. So, and we will do the same thing at our community day. So things like that throughout the year. But thank you, Andrea.
I'm asking our residents too, if you have any memorabilia or anything from your time through Churchill, please let us know. We'd love to display it. We're trying to celebrate.
Yes, we want to celebrate. Yeah.
One comment before we conclude, if I may. It was brought up earlier, and I don't really know what committee this falls into, so I'm going to kind of bring it and sort the space of this. It was brought up from the residents the difficulty that they were having in connecting during the workshop, as you may have heard. We've had ongoing issues in connecting during the workshop, in particular, kind of time and time again. And quite frankly, I think we're doing disservice by giving a kind of broken electronic version of this. We brought the online space, during COVID as a way to ensure that people could participate. And I personally really like ensuring that that is something that's cohesive and something that people can enjoy. The workshop in particular is a space where we really are trying to kind of focus on getting the thing done and actually working on it. And spending 15 minutes every meeting trying to get the electronics in the workshop room to work seems to be a disservice. So, I've talked to other members, and I will be the bad guy in the room or the good guy in the room, depending on who you are. But it does not make sense to me to continue to try and use a broken owl, for lack of other way of saying it, to eat up 15 minutes, to have broken conversations. The meeting is always public. People are always welcome to come in to sit in the workshop while we're doing the workshop business. But I really don't see a purpose in continuing to have a kind of broken workshop on the electronic format. And so I'm proposing, which whether it goes to M&T or whether it goes to, to some other space, that we revisit, how we have our public space, particularly in the workshop, that until such time we are able to provide a seamless environment, particularly for the workshop. I'm not talking about it here. I think it's been easier in the business meeting and in this space. that we conclude the idea of this online broken space that we've been doing, and that we look into a better way of providing that in terms of in the workshop space. So I don't know if that's something that we take back to M&G and make a recommendation. I don't know if that's something that we talk about.
I think that's something that could go into communications, as IT and any tech things falls under communication. So I would love to kick this to Deb as chair. I'm not think we're gonna be meeting in 2 weeks. So that's something that we can add to the agenda and just kick that around and come up with a recommendation in that committee.
Well, and to your point, before COVID, we didn't have Zoom. Everyone had to come in person. Zoom's it's convenient, but to have the board nurse point and Kate, if they, and others, they can't hear, and we're trying our hardest, but to spend an absorbent amount of money to try to fix the owl for our workshop, we don't want to do that. We can't do that. So, but yes, this is something we need to talk about in the communications, because, yeah, we don't seem to quite have this problem here, but it's back, yeah. And it's fine if it's 7:15 and we're still trying to figure out the technological problems with it.
And I think a lot of it has to do with the room itself, like the acoustics of that room versus the acoustics of that room. I think that's a big piece of that as well.
I agree.
I was just gonna say, for full transparency, I've had multiple members of council and quite frankly, staff and other folks, who have spoken about this. So I don't bring this up as a kind of me coming to the floor. I just bring this up as something that I think to the residents who have been frustrated, I don't want to continue to frustrate them. And sometimes a half a service isn't a good service, right? And that's kind of what this feels like right now. I've heard the complaint from residents, not just online today, but I've heard other residents complain about the challenges that they've had. And I think it's a better space. And again, I will turn it back to communication that hopefully can make a recommendation at the next workshop, right? I would hope that we would look at this through the lens of how do we best serve our residents, and sometimes providing a broken service is not the best way to serve your residents.
I would just add to that, sometimes it's fortunate for us to be small. And the fact is that it wouldn't take more than 5-7 minutes for anybody who lives in Churchill to get to our workshop meetings.
The most.
Yeah, so, and I think there's something to be said for being in the room if you have an interest in. We have 2 people who come to every one of our council meetings. They manage to get there. So I would just add that we need to think about how much more fun it might be for them to be in the room. So I'm with you. We'll go to communications and see what you come up with.
Our meeting is February 20th. And we really enjoy having people here.
Absolutely.
It's a treat for us. And quite frankly, when the meeting's over, and you still have something more to talk about, we're here. So it really is, I think, more beneficial than your 3 minutes that you get and then we have to move on. So it's something that's.
There's no doubt. I run a training academy that does predominantly online for the entire country in the fair housing space. And we just came back to in-person, that's why I was in San Francisco, did the first in-person training in 2.5 years. And the difference of what people get, not even during the training, but when you're done, right? And the extra questions and the come up to the front. We're missing some of that. And so, reestablishing some of that may be in the benefit of our residents. So that's all I'm saying. Thank you.
So just to add to that, I think we've invested in technology to make the meetings accessible via Zoom. I understand that this is not the time necessarily to debate it or have a discussion about it. But I do want to make it clear that I am in favor of continuing the workshop meeting as well as the regular meeting, having both in-person and Zoom options. There are a number of times when there are residents who attend the Zoom meeting, whether it be the regular or workshop meeting, and that may be a limited number, but when you look at the replays, there are a number of residents who watch the replays, who may not be able to attend the workshop meeting, but still want to be engaged and involved. And so I would ask that the Communications Committee take that into consideration, that we have financially invested in this system. And although what we did before the COVID pandemic was in person, as a society, we have evolved into offering more of a virtual space for all residents to have accessibility.
Well, yes, we'll take that into consideration, but, Brooke, we've had issues and, a lot of industries or what have you, now that COVID's over, have been going back to brick and mortar and in person. I think we're just trying to make it as best, even when people look at it, you know, a week later or whatever, and there's audio problems, it's really annoying. And yes, we have the technology, but to fix the technology or to get new technology is an exorbitant amount of money that we really don't have. So, yes, we need to talk about it. I mean, Zoom is great, no question about it, but, is it as beneficial to our residents as it can be when, you know, to Kate Hill's point where she couldn't hear the first 10 minutes, and if that's going to be an ongoing problem, it's not worth it. And to Diane's point, everybody lives within 2 miles. And yes, if you can't make it, but if you can get a clear video to watch a week later, that's better than a video that you can't understand some of it, or they go in and out. So, I mean, it is something to look at, and we will discuss this heavily. It will be first on our agenda, our communications. I mean, I love having Zoom because it is convenient, and it is convenient for people who maybe once in a while can't get here, but people also have gotten used to that. So, you know, before that, you didn't have it, before COVID, you didn't have a choice. I know that there is a choice, but if the choice isn't working that well, yeah, it is something we will definitely discuss. And I do understand what you're saying.
One last point to that, having literally just converted a online training academy into a space of in-person. So within the context of adult learning theory and mixed modalities, right, this provides us the opportunity to present mixed modalities to our residents, meaning that it gives people the opportunity to have different forms of learning and different ways of learning to really kind of bring them to the table in different spaces. The problem with our current online modality that we're using within the workshop is that when you provided something like this and it's broken, it actually takes away from the learning experience of the adult learner who comes forward and says, I want to participate in the online, but I can't hear it. I only hear part of it. And now I don't know what's going on. It creates a sense of frustration that actually drives people away from learning, not to learn. So if you have a system in which it's working very well, it drives people to learn, right? They say, I can go online and have an online learning experience. One of the things that Brooke talked about is kind of an on-demand space, which is a different, by the way, kind of modality in learning. The idea of being on demand, right? Or for instance, going on to, let's say, a YouTube and viewing it after the fact, right? Is in fact a third modality, because that's the kind of learning where you're not actively engaged at the time, where you can't ask the question in the moment, right? So this is where you're learning by other people's questions and other people's engagement. So, you know, offering a space in which you have that primary modality of in-person and the mixed modality at the distance meeting that we're doing this on the Zoom really presents an opportunity. Doesn't mean it's perfect. Brooke's point is not lost on me, right? That there are folks, and there's a number of reasons why people would want to be online, right? Just overall, I still read from the captions when I'm here, right? I cannot hear out of 80% of this conversation right now. So there's benefits to all of this. I'm just saying, and I brought this to the table because at a certain point when something is broken, it becomes a negative, not the intended positive. And the idea of people who are trying to engage with us as council, getting frustrated in their engagement is worse in many spaces in the idea of adult learning than being in a space in which they say, I have to come to participate, or I participate in a space that works online. So
I think
just
this
wanted to
is
bring
a
that up.
great
Something that-
time and great opportunity for us to discuss all of this when it's at a workshop meeting, because everybody has great thoughts and ideas. And maybe it's something that we look at something else, a way to record it or something. I don't know. So I'm going to leave it up to
But before Valerie,
there are plenty of options.
Yeah, all
And
types of alternatives.
Yeah, all
Exactly.
different types of options. So I'm definitely gonna leave it up
Leave it
to
together.
the communications committee to look into the options and present those options, and we can all discuss, have a great discussion at our next workshop meeting, and discuss that there.
So before you move on, I just would like to add that the COVID-19 pandemic is something that people are still experiencing. And we've had some health risk at different points in time in the borough where using Zoom has made it possible for participants to continue to be present for these meetings. While again, this is not the place to debate it, I just wanted to add that point. And I think that all of the points that I've made were very clear, and I'm not going to continue to go back and forth. So Valerie, you can,
Thank you. Yeah, I just think we were getting a little bit ahead of ourselves in discussing, and I want to make sure that we leave that to a place where we're able to discuss that on the floor at our workshop meeting. Any other comments, concerns not regarding Zoom?
I wanted to make a comment about the motion to accept the minutes for the regular meeting. My microphone was off at the time. I happened to review the minutes from the January meeting, and it was recorded that Matt Castiglia seconded a motion, and Matt was not a council person at that time. So can we update?
Good point.
thank you.
Thank you for that. All right, if there are no other comments, I would like to adjourn this meeting.
Motion to adjourn?
So
There's
moved.
second.
Second.
Great. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you. Feel better.
Thank you. I appreciate it.